Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Saturday morning to you all. I hope you guys are waking up and feeling good out there this morning and having a wonderful start to your day and weekend out there so far. We have a ton of information to go over in this morning's video, so I appreciate you joining me this morning as we do so. As you can tell, there's about 1,000 tabs pulled up on your screen, so you know we're going to talk a lot. And the first thing we will focus in on is this winter storm cranking up right now across areas of the upper Midwest and the Great Lakes region. This will continue to progress eastward across areas of the Ohio Valley, even the Mid-Atlantic, which is seeing some winter weather right now this morning. And then we'll bring probably the biggest winter storm of the winter season for areas of the Northeast. Now, not for everybody, this is not going to be your biggest winter storm of the season, but for some folks it will. And I think Boston will be that more highly populated area where certainly most likely will be your biggest snowstorm of the season so far. So we're going to get very detailed on that. We'll show you guys the individual graphics from the National Weather Service, give you guys a really good idea of how much snow and even ice you could expect from this storm system over the next day and a half. After we get done discussing that, we will talk about next week's pattern and what it could bring. This is most likely going to bring a winter storm for areas in the Mid-Atlantic midway next week, and then it could bring another storm towards the end of next week, maybe another storm after that. So we're in a very active winter storm pattern for certain areas, not everybody, but for certain areas. So we'll speak on all that, we'll get detailed, and then we'll speak a little bit on the longer range and how it does support continuous blast of cold air into the lower 48 and maybe even more winter storm chances on down the road. And then we'll talk about today's weather. So if you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. I'm going to tell you guys right off the dot, this video will be different because of the background. I have 5 cats in my room right now, and there's a reason. And my room is not big, and you're going to see movement. You're going to see shadows behind me. Those are cats. You're going to see a lot going on behind me. Potentially, maybe they'll just relax. You might hear a meow in the background, something falling. You might hear a kid in the background. My little girl, for her party, wanted to have a sleepover, and we have 5 little girls outside of my other 2 little girls in the house. And so one of the little girls is really scared of just all animals, so we had to kind of put all our cats in the room for the overnight hours into this morning. So that's why they're all in here with me. So just wanted to give you guys that information right off the dot. If you folks have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. I already said that. See, I'm all discombobulated. But if you guys got anything to pray, I can pray about or pray over, please put it in the comments below. That's what I meant to say. So with all that being said, let's get rocking and rolling this morning. So this is what's going on right now. We got this area of snow moving across the upper Midwest. Let me know what you've seen from this in like Minneapolis. It's been a tough area to forecast with this system. It's been going back and forth. We got snow that's pretty much taken over a good chunk of the state of Wisconsin, really the northern half. Snow is overspread into the UP and Michigan. What's interesting to me, and models sniff this out pretty well, is this heavier precipitation down here in the Mid-Atlantic. We are actually getting some light accumulations of sleet, even some snow. And I did kind of notice the reports or checked out the reports from this area. And this is definitely hitting the ground as some sleet, even a little bit of snow. And we're getting some heavier precipitation here in the Mid-Atlantic, hitting and encountering just a little bit of cold air, just enough to bring some winter weather. Now, all this will connect. This will connect with this, and this will turn into a quick hitting, pretty strong winter storm for the Northeast. So that's what's going on right now. Watches, warnings, and advisories working west to east. We do have winter storm warnings continuing up for several counties in Minnesota, central Wisconsin, including like Green Bay. We just have winter weather advisories up for areas of lower Michigan. But you head on down to like Chicago, you guys could certainly get a little bit of snow, maybe some freezing rain today, but definitely not a high impact event. And then we do have winter weather advisory stretching through northern Indiana, the northern half of Ohio. This does include say Cleveland, kind of north of Columbus. You guys don't have a winter weather advisory. And then we expand this all the way into PA, and just about every county in PA is under a winter weather advisory except the far southwestern counties. We do have some ice storm warnings up. Unfortunately, you guys are always, not always, but you guys have been getting hit hard by a lot of ice in like the Allegheny Mountains, these higher favored elevations with these last 2 winter storms, and you might even get more next week. Winter weather advisories do expand down here into Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Philadelphia, and all the way down here in like central VA for really what's going on right now. And then we head up into the high impact zone of this winter storm, if you will. And all of southern New England has winter storm warnings, except, out here in like southeast Mass, Martha's Vineyard, Nantucket, you guys just have winter weather advisories. And they did not upgrade you to winter storm warnings yet in New York City, just winter weather advisories. They're not, I don't think, confident enough on winter storm warning criteria type winter weather. So we'll see if that changes. Got a couple counties in northern New Jersey that do have winter storm warnings, but definitely going to be a quick hitting, like I said, pretty high impact winter storm for these areas. It's not going to be one of those ones that kind of turn up the coastline last 48 hours, but it's going to bring some heavy precipitation with the cold air, so you're going to get heavy snow. Let's take a look at the HRRR model, the HRRR model over the next 24 hours, and of course, it's verifying pretty well on what's going on right now. We continue to progress this forward. We'll get some of this connection right here with the precipitation to the south and to the north. So there is that freezing rain, the pink kind of developing in eastern sections of Iowa and northern Illinois. Maybe starting off as a little bit of snow in Chicago. But this is getting into about midday, I would say 1 o'clock today. Snow falling across most of the state of Wisconsin. A little bit of freezing rain to the south, like maybe near Janesville. And then you continue to move this forward. We get into this afternoon, freezing rain falling in northern Indiana, northern Ohio, even southern sections of lower Michigan. There might be like a little bit of a dry slot here in sections of lower Michigan where you guys don't get a whole lot of anything. But definitely solid, light, moderate, maybe at times heavy snow up here in the northern lower Michigan, UP and Michigan area. Could start off with some heavy wet snow in Cleveland and quickly go to like a wintry mix for the evening tonight. And then this all heads off. We're going to get some heavy snow this afternoon, this evening, into the overnight hours in southern Ontario. And we could be left with just some lake-enhanced activity off Superior, Lake Michigan, Huron, as we move into daybreak tomorrow. So not a huge event by any means, but certainly an event. But we move into the Northeast. This will be more significant. We're getting that wintry mix right now in the Mid-Atlantic. Let me know what you're seeing down here. But this will kind of head on off, and we'll be done with this by this afternoon. And then the main push of moisture begins to move in. And here it is, just an unfavorable placement for widespread winter weather for these areas down here and for even sections of the Mid-Atlantic. Here, as you have a low pressure cutting across Ohio. But I'm telling you, this is going to be some heavy front-end precipitation this evening. We could even get some thunder sleet, thunder snow. This area of snow right here that's going to start falling in Erie, going to start falling in State College, getting all the way up to Buffalo. This will be quite heavy. It's called a frontogenesis band, if you will. It's basically a band of moisture where the atmosphere is like super saturated and it squeezes out every bit of moisture in the atmosphere. And when your temperatures aloft are cold enough for snow, that'll fall in the form of snow. And it could be, just insane snowfall rates for a period. It never lasts too long. Typically, your heaviest, fattest snowflakes are just north of the mixing line. Hopefully, maybe you didn't know that, but that's true. Normally, your wettest snow, which is normal, those pretty like cotton ball flakes, it's just north of that mixing line. So even though it's really pretty, when that's happening, a lot of times that means you're really close to mixing with sleet. But as you continue to move forward here, this is the time up here about 8 p.m. Eastern time. Heavy snow begins to blast into New York City. And listen, you could get half inch, inch and a half per hour rates in this kind of snow. This is extremely heavy snow, even starting in like Philadelphia, maybe as snow. The entire northern 2/3 of New Jersey, heavy snow moving into Scranton, Binghamton, Buffalo, getting all the way up to the Tuck Hill Plateau. This continues, and I'm telling you, this is heavy. I'm going to click a sounding out of New York City. You see how it's 29 degrees at the surface? It looks like at around several thousand feet up in the air, you got this little nudge right here. All right, let's see if I can draw on this. This little nudge right here that's kind of going like this. That is where it warms up in the upper levels of the atmosphere. So 29 degrees at the surface, cools down just above the surface, and then even higher up, warms up. But one thing I just want you to notice here, you see this green line right here? That is dew points. So you notice from the surface all the way up, and once you get way up here, you're getting 30, 40,000 feet up in the air, way up here, 200 millibars But you notice how that dew point rides right behind the temperature, which is in the red. That means that the air is super saturated right in here, which means that the atmosphere, there's no dry air in the low to mid, even upper levels. You have to get way up here, 30, 40,000 feet up in the air before you start to encounter any kind of dry air. So I'm telling you, stay up a little later tonight. It's the weekend. If you really want to see some insane snowfall rates, New York City, Long Island, a lot of areas are going to see this right before you mix a little bit with sleet and maybe even some freezing rain. Atmosphere squeezing out every bit of the snow. Definitely some pretty wild snowfall rates with this. I would be very excited to see something like this if I was living up here. But you continue to move forward here. We start to get to about a midnight. It's snowing like crazy in southern New England. It's snowing all the way to Vermont, New Hampshire, almost all of New York. Heck, even the southern tier will start to mix with a little bit of ice because of the low placement of low pressure. But as you can tell, New York City now mixing with sleet. You see how it's 32 degrees at the surface and you have this little warm nose that goes above 32 degrees aloft? That's probably sleet. So you're definitely getting heavy sleet at this point, snowing like crazy in southern New England. And then the precipitation will be done and you're left with a few to several inches of snow on the ground in New York City. Still snowing up in Boston. Snow gets all the way up into Maine. And then, heck, it even shows right as the sun's coming up. Well, I would say it's about 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. Not quite, but you start to mix with some sleet in Boston. At the tail end, the storm might crash right back to snow. So you might have a brief couple-hour period of some mixing issues. So yeah, that's what I'm talking about. The cat's going crazy. I knew it was bound to happen at some point. That's Stormy in the background, if you're wondering. She's my baby. But anyways, the storm's pretty much done by about midday tomorrow. So let's talk about the snowfall maps. Let's work west to east. So this is our friends here in Wisconsin. Of course, Minneapolis, this is ongoing right now. Heck, this is ongoing right now here in Wisconsin. But this is grand totals as far as snow. Eau Claire, 4 or 5 inches of snow. Stevens Point, same thing. Milwaukee, maybe a slushy inch. Green Bay going for 5 to 6 inches of snow. Up here in Marquette, few inches of snow. Ironwood, 5, maybe 6 inches. Janesville, a few tenths of an inch of snow. Same thing with Madison. It's been kind of a lackluster winter down here for sure. Not expecting much ice, but I will show it. Little bit of a glaze possible down here, but not much. Head on over to sections of Michigan, and northern lower Michigan will certainly get a pretty quick hitting wet snowstorm. So I would say Mount Pleasant Point's north. That's when you start to get into 4, 5, 6 inches of snow. Traverse City, 5 to 6 inches of snow. Grand Rapids, around an inch. Lansing, Detroit, inch. Chicago going for around a tenth of an inch of snow. Ice, little bit of a glaze south of Kalamazoo. Possible, not much though, I don't think. Illinois kind of working our way back southwest. Chicago, tenth of an inch of snow. Maybe a couple 100ths of an inch of ice. Same thing down to Peoria, Galesburg, Champaign, but it's not going to be a big event for you guys. Same thing with Indiana. Fort Wayne could get closer to a tenth of an inch of ice, so this could be more noticeable ice, maybe more high-impact ice, but I wouldn't even call it that. And snowfall could get a few tenths of an inch of snow. Once upon a time, we were thinking maybe 1 to 2 inches of snow in northern Indiana, but it since has dropped. And we continue to progress eastward. Ohio, this is not going to be a big event, but you could get an inch and a half of snow in Cleveland from this. Okay, which one is it? Somebody's meowing like crazy. I'm going to be distracted in this video. It's just going to be one of these videos. But a few tenths of an inch of snow here in northern Ohio. Ice, it's going to be a concern, certainly in areas of northern Ohio. In fact, it looks like they've bumped it up in Fort Wayne from the latest update, from the last update. Fort Wayne over a tenth of an inch of ice now. And just this corridor of ice, kind of in northern sections of Ohio, north of Columbus, so Lima, Marion, Mansfield, over to Akron, Youngstown, a tenth to 2/10 of an inch of freezing rain. Could get a little sleet mixing with this too. So kind of south of Cleveland, but north of Columbus. If you live in this area in Ohio, you're going to get some impactful ice, I think. So please be aware of that. And then West Virginia, this will not be a big event for you guys. Just low pressure is just cutting north of West Virginia. Not through it, but north. And for the most part. So a little bit of snow maybe at the front of this, and then a little bit of ice It could be a lot of ice if you live, say, in the higher elevations of West Virginia to the east here. Someone could squeeze out another 1/4 inch of ice. You guys got hit hard by some nasty ice in those higher elevations last week. Well, this past week. But here in the mid-Atlantic, DC, Baltimore area, this is kind of for what's going on right now. Let me know what you're seeing, but calling for just a few tenths of an inch of snow, sleet, freezing rain in this area. Definitely could get some as this system is really coming together late this morning into early this afternoon. Up to Baltimore and kind of north, the DC points north, a few hundredths of an inch of ice, maybe a tenth of an inch of ice. You get closer to like western Maryland, that's where you can get into some more nasty ice, like over a 1/4 inch in this area. Definitely be very aware of that. More icing concerns, ice storm warnings up for this area. 1/4 inch to maybe a 1/2 inch of ice is possible. Then the rest of PA, because of the placement of this low pressure where it's cutting, I think most of southwest PA is not going to get a whole lot, but you could get some snow right at the front end of this. And I'm telling you, some of these areas, northern counties, northeast counties, eastern counties also, like Philadelphia, Allenton, Scranton, could overachieve with this. This will be heavy, wet snow, a few inches of snow. Kylo, come here. Calm down, Kylo. A few inches of wet snow right at the beginning of this is possible. And listen, this could fall fast and furious, guys. So, Williamsport, 2.5 inches of snow. Let's see if we update this. Maybe we got a new update here. Yeah, they've actually increased it. So I think that said 2.5 inches of snow. So they've actually bumped it up a little bit more. So some of these totals have increased. So I need to update it as we go because I'm a little bit late making this video. Erie, I think I said 3-point-something inches of snow at first. Now it's going for over 4. So they're increasing some of these snows. And then ice concerns. So a couple inches of ice, a little bit of freezing rain, not good. Okay, so it looks like the central southern portions of PA, few 1/100ths of an inch of ice to maybe a tenth to 2/10, maybe 3/10 of an inch of ice. Once you get over 2/10 to 3/10, that's when it really becomes an issue. Some scattered power outages. Over a 1/2 inch, that's when you have widespread power outages and tree limbs falling. But certainly noticeable ice totals down here in PA. You mix that with this snow, this is definitely going to have some impacts with this, okay? So moving forward here, this is the New York City area. This does include southern New England, all of New Jersey, Long Island. New York City, let's see if we got any new updates from this because we are getting some changes, a little bit some changes. So New York City going for around 4 inches, but I think in general, the New York City area and everybody included in that region is good for 3 to 5 inches of snow, maybe 6 inches of snow. Northern New Jersey, maybe a few more inches of snow compared to this, but you get into southern New England, guys, widespread 6-8 inch snowfall total. Some areas could certainly get more than this. But for this area, a lot of these areas, this will be your biggest snowstorm of the season so far, even though, some areas might consider that pretty pathetic. I know some people up here probably consider a bigger snowstorm much more substantial than 6 inches of snow. But I think what makes this one neat, guys, especially up here in southern New England, is how quick it'll fall. I mean, this will fall 6, 7, 8 inches of snow up here in southern New England will fall fast and furious, guys. I mean, inch and a half per hour rates. It'll certainly come down pretty hard. There is going to be some icing issues to the southern sections of this region. A few tenths of an inch, well, no, not that much. A few 1/100ths of an inch of ice in Philadelphia, Trenton, up the Bridgewater, Wilmington. You guys are going to run the risk of a little bit of freezing rain. There's probably going to be some light sleet accumulations with this too. But continuing to move north, New York State itself, same situation. This will be it's not going to be a huge winter storm for you guys' standards, but it's going to be a quick hitter and it's going to fall fast. It could catch you off guard because it'll be falling so heavy. But I mean, Buffalo, good 4 inches of snow. Let's see if we have any changes with this. We do, so I'm glad I updated it. Buffalo going for around 4 inches. Rochester now up to 7. Syracuse going for almost 9 inches of snow. So they have definitely bumped up some of these totals. Going in this kind of corridor of lighter, I would say purple, darker pink. I mean, that's 8 to 10 inches of snow. Albany, good 9, 10 inches of snow is possible. So definitely some heavy snow. You see this area in southern Vermont. I mean, I know, Robin, you live in this area. you could be the highlight area of this storm. Over a foot of heavy wet snow is possible with this. So yeah. And then a little bit of freezing rain may be possible in the southern counties of the southern tier of New York, but I wouldn't expect much. Let's update this, see what we're going for. Yeah, they've actually bumped up the snowfall totals for southern Vermont and New Hampshire, Manchester up to 8 inches now. Rutland 7, Burlington 4 to 5. Portland going for almost 7 inches of snow. But it dramatically cuts off once you get into central Maine. But if you live in the southern half of Maine, it's just the further north you get, the less snow you get. The further south you get, the more snow you get. That's just kind of one of these setups right here. So that's an update on the winter storm over the next 36 hours. Now, let's progress after this time frame. Let's start again to next week. So we're going to start this off in the central U.S. and then move it into the eastern U.S. So we're going to start this off Monday morning using the GFS here. So latest GFS as we're moving into Monday afternoon starts to break out some winter weather across the plains, areas of the Midwest. All of a sudden you get into Monday evening. You got snow in the blue breaking out across the Midwest. You got snow across the plains. We got more so a wintry mix. Sort of in northern Arkansas. I'd watch out for that area for a little bit more ice. Southern sections of Missouri. This is kind of round number one, right? You know, we started getting to Tuesday morning. And we got this just long area of winter weather stretching from, like Denver, Colorado, all the way east. And we don't even see the end of it for the eastern U.S. We'll have to show you guys that here in a second. But check it out. It doesn't look very heavy, right? But this is just a long area of winter weather stretching from Colorado all the way through Kentucky. And we continue, and this progresses eastward into the eastern U.S. And then we got another winter weather event that breaks out. This could be more substantial, cranks up midweek. This is like Wednesday midday, the 12th of February. This looks like a more high-impact winter storm, potentially. This is almost under 100 hours. Breaking out across the Central Plains, Kansas City, Topeka. This shows more icing in northern areas of Arkansas. Southern Missouri shows winter weather all the way into Oklahoma. And then this cranks up, becomes a high-impact winter storm Wednesday evening into St. Louis. Brings snow all the way up to Des Moines. And this brings some appreciable snow all the way up into Chicago, an area that has not seen much this winter. Brings winter weather all the way into Indianapolis, Peoria, and then eventually gets into the Great Lakes region. And then, there's other stuff after that. There's another winter weather event to round off the work week. And then here comes another event after that. This is a week from today. This is like storm system number 3, 4, 5. Heck, I don't even know at this point. This is a week from right now. This brings another powerful winter storm. Slams areas in the Midwest, Chicago, for example, Milwaukee. And we might as well just stop after that because, just so many different winter weather events to cover. Now, we look at the latest Euro, and we get into Monday evening, we get into all the way into Tuesday morning, and it looks very similar to the GFS. You kind of just have this strung out looking mess here of winter weather, a little bit of snow, kind of splotchy in nature in the Central Plains to the Midwest, heavier snow showing up in northern Kentucky. And the first kind of round never comes together on the winter weather side of things. Now, on the rainy side of things to the south, it certainly does. But then the moisture blossoms. First off, this starts off as a pretty decent winter storm across like the Front Range, the high plains, kind of central high plains area of like eastern Colorado and western Kansas and Nebraska. And all of a sudden dumps a pretty significant winter storm. Like, it's only 102 hours out. Wednesday morning across areas of western Oklahoma, the panhandle of Texas, it's the Central Plains, and then this cranks up across the Midwest. Big winter storm for Kansas City, northern Missouri, Iowa, all the way up to Omaha, and then this turns into a significant winter storm Wednesday into Thursday for Chicago. Look, GFS and the Euro has it. Corridor of nasty ice setting up here. None of this is a forecast. Just look how hyper the pattern is. And then right behind that, you got another winter storm about to crank up, and we kind of have to go back to the OOZ Euro. And this shows another winter weather event, but much further north into the upper Midwest. And then we get into next weekend. Who knows what happens? Big blast of cold air moves in. So a lot going on. So if you look at the Euro ensemble, we start off Monday morning. This is for the snow falling right now. I want you to keep your eyes down in this area right in here. All right. Watch how that entire area I just drew kind of blossoms here. Getting to Tuesday, getting to Wednesday, getting to Thursday, getting to Friday, getting to Saturday of next week. Not this Saturday. And we take it all, let's just go all the way to about 10 days out. That is a strong signal for a winter weather. Multiple rounds of winter weather across the middle of the country. Notice it does not get very far south. But there's going to be probably some sort of ice setting up somewhere. Probably, I would bet, somewhere into here. Someone's going to get ice. I would bet. But this is a pretty stout looking pattern for winter weather. Okay, and then if you look at the GFS ensemble, kind of compare it here, I mean, it's even louder in Kansas, Missouri, Iowa. It's a pretty active looking pattern in this area. Now you move into the eastern U.S. and, you know, we start off Sunday evening. This Sunday evening, we get into Monday morning. First off, the GFS has been just on the gun for days that Monday morning we're going to start off with snow flying around here in southern VA, heck, even the northern counties in North Carolina. Okay, if it trends away, it's got to do it here in the next 48 hours. And then as we're starting to get into Tuesday morning, look at the winter weather. Look at the snow breaking out. And it's kind of just staying in that Tennessee-Kentucky line. Snow overspreading the central Alps. It's snowing heavily in western West Virginia, western Virginia, southern West Virginia. It's snowing in Kentucky. The far southern counties getting mainly rain. And this turns, the latest GFS says Tuesday, this is going to turn into a significant winter storm across the mid-Atlantic. And it really stays suppressed to this area. This is heavy snow in West Virginia. This is a wintry mix kind of in the southern areas of Virginia and northern North Carolina. And it is a long-lasting event, over 24 hours. We continue to get it. I mean, for example, this is when it starts, right? This is Tuesday morning, and this is Wednesday morning, and this is still ongoing. We get it snowing in the Delmarva, and we got ice hanging on for dear life down here for northern areas of North Carolina, really northwest areas of North Carolina. And then here comes another winter storm as we're getting into Wednesday night into Thursday. And the ice kind of hangs out here in areas of Virginia and North Carolina. And it really wants to try to bring a hefty winter storm into Cleveland. Look, that would be a big one for Detroit, Buffalo. But this does not look like a favorable track for the Northeast as we're getting into Thursday. But it does bring just a ton of winter weather for New England once again. Looks like Boston and New York City for sure would have mixing issues with this. And then here comes another winter weather event after this. This is getting into Friday morning. And then another one after this. This is getting into Saturday. This is definitely a big cutter, but who knows? That becomes kind of zonal, low pressure sort of skirts west to east. Another huge winter storm late next weekend for New England. You just kind of lose track, right? And it's just crazy how much there is. Latest Euro, what does it show? And same thing, it's not buying the snow in southern Virginia Monday morning, but it does show that winter storm moving in Tuesday morning across, it's a little bit warmer across northern areas of Kentucky, West Virginia, snow moving into Virginia. It's more, I would say, maybe a quick hitter at first. Okay, but this is some heavy snow in Virginia, all the way up to DC. This really looks like to impact you guys. And then it tries to bring another round before that, after that round, and before this round, a lot of rounds, more winter weather into Wednesday, and then it connects the dots here, and then getting into Wednesday night to Thursday morning, we get another high-impact winter storm. This could be a big one for Michigan, southern Ontario. This looks like a lot of nasty, ugly ice in New England. And then we'll have to switch it right back to the OOZ here. Here comes another winter storm after that into next weekend. Just a lot going on. Euro Ensemble. Okay, let's just switch it back to the OOZ. This is the event right now, right? And this is in 24-hour period. So you're going to see that disappear. That's the event for this weekend. Here's the signal right here for early to midway next week. Showing up for the Mid-Atlantic, you got a several-inch snowfall mean or average in areas of the Mid-Atlantic and the Alps and into the Delmarva. I mean, that is like over a 5-inch snowfall average in DC. Even all the way down into like southern areas of Virginia. And then there goes that round. Then here getting to Thursday, there's another round. And then we get into Friday and a Saturday. Here's another round. It's just winter storm after winter storm. GFS Ensemble, same thing, guys. It's very active. This is the storm this weekend over the next 24 hours. That moves out. Here comes the hefty signal for that winter weather event for the Mid-Atlantic. That's going to be a winter storm. Here comes the one after that in the Thursday and the Friday. And then here comes another one to Saturday and the Sunday. So, man, it is an active pattern. Active. Going forward, what I can tell you is it's going to stay cold. This is the 8 to 14 day outlook, the 15th through the 21st. If you live in the blue, they're going for below average temperatures. The darker the blue, the more higher confidence they have in those below average temperatures. So this finally is showing a beatdown of that southeast ridge. Okay, so that's interesting. And what I can tell you here is if you look at the pattern coming up, it certainly supports a big trough right here in the blue, digging in next weekend into the eastern U.S. You see how this thing's digging like this? So this is going to bring a shot of cold air with it, kind of down into here. And this will probably knock down our above average temperatures even for the southeast and the southern tier of the country. So that's a deep digging trough, digging right here. Ridge is spiking out west. Cold air continues to be dislodged. There's probably going to be a high impact storm system where this blue area is, which symbolizes lower pressure, active weather, and then a shot of cold air. Then that moves on out, maybe a ridge spike again, so it might warm up. And then the pattern supports later into February, more troughing in the east. As you can tell, you got this, just this big trough right here. To me, that screams more eastern U.S. storm systems, whether that's winter storms, not quite sure. Bridge spiking out west. This will drop cold air down to the eastern U.S. And, you know, you can see this pretty well if you look at all this right here. This is starting off next Saturday evening. Look at all the cold air. I mean, the greens, the blues, the purples, the Barney colors in the purple. That's well below average temperatures. Spills into the central U.S. and then overspreads all the eastern U.S. between day 7 and 10. And it hangs out for a while. Could have a spike in the ridge. Colder than average temperature stays up north. And then it cools right back down again as you're getting into the third week of February into here. And what I can tell you is all of the MJO charts are full steam ahead into getting in the cold phases. We've been talking about this for 7 to 10 days now and trying to explain to you guys what this means. So phase 4, phase 5, phase 6, those are mainly warmer phases. And we've been cruising through those phases for the last week or so. So right now, what is it? February the 8th? We're right in here into phase 6, but we're about to get into phase 7. That's 10th, that's February 12th. And then we're going to get into phase 8, phase 1, which are colder phases. If you hear any kids in the background, I got 5 other little girls in my house having a sleepover. So it's just one of those weird videos, guys. I think most understand. Most probably want a more professional backdrop, but it just is what it is. But as you can tell, as we're getting into mid-month, like the 16th, 18th, the GFS Ensemble, for example, wants it to get into phase 8 fully and then just pretty much progress right into phase 1. These are colder phases, so I think models are going to trend colder. Phase 8, phase 1, phase 2, and even phase 3 in March is a favorable phase for a lot of cold air into the eastern U.S. And it'll give us an opportunity for some late season winter weather, even for the South. I really think Euro shows it too, fully into phase 8. And then the Euro kind of ensemble blend here, I mean, just fully loops into phase 8, phase 1. I mean, it's pretty much full steam ahead. So I think these models are going to continue to latch on to a beat down of the southeast ridge. And I'm telling you, winter is not over. I think that we're going to get some mischief, even for the South, late this winter. I do. I just got a gut feeling for it. MJO phasing supports it. The fact that we continue to see dumps of cold air in the longer range and the lower 48, I think something fishy is going to show up. Okay. Today's weather, not going to stay long on this because overall, besides the areas I just covered, the Northeast, etc., it's a pretty quiet day of weather. Everybody else is pretty decently quiet. Flooding risk for West Virginia is a 5% risk of flash flooding. The risk of thunderstorms, we could get some convective activity in some of this winter weather today. I wouldn't be surprised we get some thunder snow, thunder sleet, but severe weather not expected. The southeast, most of the energy will head to the north But we will get some showers up under this ridge today, possibly for Alabama through Georgia and the Carolinas. You see these splotchy areas of green, and then more of a, I would say, a solid put together round of rain with this cold front will start to progress southeast across Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, and then just the entire southeast to the overnight hours will give us some showers. And then just jumping, the northeast and the north central U.S., because we've already covered that. What about the south central U.S. today? Quiet day of weather. The only area that could get some showers is northern Louisiana, Mississippi. But we're going to wake up tomorrow morning to some more moist air bubbling up here in Arkansas, though. And then western U.S., it's quiet, just some rounds of snow skirting across the northern Rockies, and yeah, not a whole lot to talk about. Temperatures, ooh, look at this temperature gradient, guys. That is insane. Getting well into the 90, 91, even 92 degree range in areas of Texas. Warm day across the southeast. Cold air locked into the north. And then this is what it looks like for the western U.S. Definitely a solid temperature gradient showing up over the middle of the country. So, oof. Sorry for all the distractions in this morning's video. It's a tough one to make. We have 100 cats in my room and all the background noise. And then I had my dog knocking on my door over here to my left, trying to get into the house. So, yeah. So just one of those videos. The next one will not be like that. God bless all y'all. Have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you guys soon.